Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the Unbounded Growth. My name is Marc-alain Muteba and I'm your host. This is our sixth episode of our third season, and we've been talking about this wonderful book by James Allen called As a Man Thinketh. The last few weeks, we've informed you, Adam and I, that we will be recording at a lesser frequency than what we've done in the past. Instead of hearing every single week, we'll be hearing every 2 weeks, and that will apply for both the month of July and the month of August. We see after that, reevaluate how our schedule will align to see if we can get back to our regular schedule. This episode, as being our sixth episode, I'll be recording in solo, as we said again. Adam and I have really been under crunch, maybe taking my last class for my master's degree, while Adam is still working on his dissertation, and he's been really on a lot of deadlines, especially during this summer. But we're trying our very best to be here with you every single week. Again, this is the Unbounded Growth, a podcast that helps you to enrich your lives, ignite your mind, and inspire your growth through knowledge and action. We're not just here to feed you with a bunch of knowledge or review a bunch of books and tell you what we like or what we didn't like about it. We are here to tell you how if these books change our lives and how they can also impact our lives. But knowledge is nothing without action. If we keep on feeding you all this information, if we keep on feeding ourselves on this information, if we keep on reading all these books but you never take any action toward them, then you are literally or technically wasting your time. So we encourage you, on top of just listening to the episode, on top of just coming here and tuning in every Tuesday, something that we truly appreciate, we also encourage you to take action. To take action on everything that you're learning, take action on every single book that you are reading. And today we particularly talk about the effects of thoughts on your health, but also what effect your thought play on your purpose. As we've talked about before, the way you think can can positively or negatively affect your health. But also, what does your thought have to do with your purpose? As you know, until you've discovered your purpose, you're pretty much living an aimless life. Zig Ziglar used to say that you can hit a target you do not see. If you are blindfolded today and they gave you a target in front of you, you have a chance in a million, a chance in 100, a chance in 20 to hit that target. Depends on how close it is, depends on how far it is, depends on how big the target is. But you have a chance in a million possibilities to hit the target. But if you don't have a target, you have zero chance in a million to hit the target. Before we get started for this episode, we just want to give our heartfelt condolences to our good friend, Purcell Missenga. She works with us here on Unbounded Growth on a part-time basis. She's always taking care of our social media for the most part, when of course she's not caught up with school and all that. Percy lost her mother. She was really young, and we really sending out our heartfelt condolences to her. Please keep her in your prayers as she's going through this tough moment and trying to navigate this moment with her family. Another announcement that I wanted to make was that this week on the 28th and the 29th, the week this episode is airing, on the 28th and the 29th, there is a conference going on in the DFW Metroplex. So if you live in the DFW Metroplex, we encourage you to encourage this conference. It's called the Awakening, the biggest African and African American expo. I was there last year, and I have again the privilege of hosting this year. Trust me, guys, it's an amazing conference. I'll link the information of this episode in the description of the information of this conference in the description of this episode. You can register. The good thing is that it's free. So it will be at the Irving Convention Center, and it's being organized by a good friend of mine, Emmanuel Kalumbata. This young man is very ambitious. He's very ambitious, and I really love just sitting with him. And we have an opportunity to host him here on the podcast, having been in America for 6 years and organizing conferences that actually make the government of the United States and the government of African countries to come together and actually talk about business, talk about trade. You get a lot of opportunity to learn things like real estate, women empowerment. You learn about, you make a lot of you make a lot of connections with people that can actually help you become a better version of yourself. And this is what we do here on Unbounded Growth. And just want to give a shout out to our friend Emmanuel for putting this together and for doing this. So the link about this conference will be in the description of this episode. Please, I encourage you to attend and learn and grow. And if you are not within the United States, the good thing is technology has allowed us to bring people together. So if you don't live within the United States, you can still watch this conference on both the Awakening Facebook page and the Awakening YouTube page. It's called the Awakening Hub. I think that's what their page is called. But we also link the link to their Facebook for the social media in the description of this video. So for our question of the week, this is what I got for you. What is your purpose? If today someone stood right next to you and asked you, what are you here on earth for? What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to achieve not only this year, not only in the next 10 years, but your overall life? When does your life find purpose? What is it that you do that helps you discover your purpose? What is it that you do that makes you feel alive? What is it that you do that makes a difference in your life? And when was the last time you thought about it? Sometimes it's interesting that we spend more time, and I think I'll quote someone. I can't remember who said this, but I want to take credit for it. A man once said that a lot of us spend more time planning our vacations than we do planning our lives, which is extremely sad. That we spend a lot of time planning things that don't really matter than we spend time planning our own lives. Another man even said it more beautifully. He said that we spend more time planning our actual lives than we do planning our afterlife. Well, what can you do about your afterlife? The truth is, we're all going to die one day. So what can you do when you're not here? What can people remember about you? And if you believe in the afterlife, what are you doing today to make sure that you live in the right place in your afterlife? If you don't believe that, if you believe that they put you in a grave and that's the end of your story, hey, that's fine. But don't wake up to just find out a different reality. But we won't really tackle that today. Probably we have another chance to talk about another day. So in today's episode, as I was saying, that we talk about the effects of your thoughts on the health and body, and the central role of your thoughts on your purpose. When James Allen opens up this chapter, and I believe I can't remember what chapter because these chapters don't have numbers. But let me see. I believe it's the fourth chapter or the third chapter of this book, where it starts talking about the effect of your thoughts on your health and your body. This is one thing that James Allen says here, which I found really very interesting. He said that the body is the servant of the mind. It obeys the operations of the mind, whether they be deliberately chosen or automatically expressed. There's a lot to say in this one statement, and you don't realize it really, because everything that you do, everything that you say, everything that you do, every movement of my body. Plamedy always speaks on me. My wife, she always speaks on me that when I speak, I have a lot of gestures. Whether it's my facial expressions, whether it's my hands, whether it's the way I'm talking, the tone of my voice and the way I move. But whether I think about them or I don't, all the commands of my body are being carried out by my brain. My brain pretty much has to tell my body what to do. And that's why it's important that Jim Quick actually says that as your body moves, your brain grows. It makes this connection, I'll probably talk about it later, between the brain and the body. But also there's this inverse connection between the body and the brain. How can you use both of them to control you? But most of what we do with our bodies, well, I meant how can you use both of them to control your lives? But all of what we do with our bodies is an action or reaction carried out by our brains. That's why you won't be able to move a lot if you have a brain damage. You won't be able to do a whole lot of things if you have a brain issue. But the question is, how can your thoughts affect your health? Now, we've already established that your thought your brain controls your body. And your brain is full of nothing but thought. So in a way or another, and I mean this is a very this subject can be controversial. I'm not here to say, and we talk about it. We're not here to say that. I'm not here personally to say that every sickness or every issue that you have starts with the mind. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just your body. And I wish Adam was here, and you probably talk about it in our next episode. Our next episode. I wish he was here too to talk about the biological aspect of it. Sometimes your body reacts to certain things where your mind has nothing to do with them. But a lot of times as well, some of what we call sickness today, things like anxiety, depression, some eating disorders, which sometimes can be much deeper than just your thoughts. A lot of times also can start with your thought. That's why you have to be very careful of what kind of thoughts that you carry. Once your mind has conceived an idea, your body is ready to execute the command. Now, that's powerful, but it's also dangerous. Think about it. If you think about something great, positive, let's say you think about uh, becoming better at your job, or you think about losing weight, or you think about achieving something, or gaining weight for the sake of those who want to gain weight. Once you start dwelling on it, once your thoughts start dwelling on it, you start figuring out mechanism, you start figuring out ways that your body can carry out these commands, which is amazing. But then the opposite effect is once you start thinking about something negative, you can find yourself into this spiral of depression, spiral of things that are not helping you advance, of things that are not helping you become a better person. The truth is, you don't have to be an expert at these things. You don't have to be an expert at understanding how does your brain carry out all the commands to your body. One thing we have in computer science or software engineering field is called, especially in languages like Java, it's called encapsulation. It's one of the pillars of object oriented. Encapsulation simply means that as a developer, as a programmer, you don't have to understand necessarily what a function is doing. If a calculator, I don't have to understand what a calculator is doing in the background when I do 1 plus 1 and it gives me 2. All I have to understand is what do I give to this function, or what do I give to this calculator, and what does it bring back to me? It's the same way with your body. You don't have to go to med school. You don't have to have a PhD in psychology to understand this stuff. All you have to understand is what effect do thoughts play on your body? And once you understand that, is what can you do to positively impact your health, to positively impact your mind, to positively impact the way you think about a certain thing. Now, the argument I was telling you a minute ago is what James Allen says in the book here. He says that all disease originate in the mind. Now, I'm not completely sure I agree with this, and I don't have enough evidence to support or go against what's being said here. But the truth is, for the most part, again, when it comes to your personal thoughts and your personal development, yes, there's an argument to be made there that sometimes your thoughts, sometimes the way you think can have a negative impact on your health. But do all disease necessarily come from the mind? You can make an argument about it. When I was thinking about it, I thought to myself, well, but HIV does not really originate from the mind. Oh, maybe cancer does not necessarily originate from the mind. It may be something you touch. But then you can make a counter argument to it, such as, well, you must have thought about it, right? You must have thought about maybe having unprotected sex. But what if you inherited it from your parent? So there's a little nuance in what he's saying here, but I want to focus, I don't want to go into the argument of like, well, what if there's this one little sickness here, well, that one little sickness there. I want to think about it more in a sense of like, some of the sicknesses are literally indirect relationship with your mind. Some of them can be things like migraines, things like depression, things like mental fatigue or exhaustion. When you're not taking adequate rest, when you're not taking a good care of your body, when you're not taking a good care of your mental health. I know mental health has become a little bit of a buzzword lately, and it's become cliche in a lot of places. But the reality is, when you don't take care of your mind, you can see the direct effect on your body. You can see yourself getting sometimes in a fight or flight reaction simply because something has hit you, because of the things that are mostly dominating your thought. If you think about a certain sickness every single time, eventually some people end up getting that sickness, or you put yourself in the position that can expose you to that sickness. There's one thing James Allen says in the next chapter, and I'll talk about it some. What benefits do negative thoughts have in your life? This is an honest question. What benefit does doubt have in your life? I mean, since you started having a pattern of negative thought, since you started thinking about all the what ifs, what if this happened? This happens. What if that happens? What if this and this and that? What have you get out of it? And the same way, since you started having or entertaining negative thoughts in your mind, since you started having pity parties, what have you gained out of them? And I've always lived by one principle that I really like to live my life by. If it's not helping you, cut it loose. Even relationships, if a relationship is not helping you, cut it loose. If a certain pattern of thoughts are not helping you, find a way to cut them loose, especially when it comes to your health. And I was actually listening to a podcast last week. It's one of those podcasts that I subscribe to that I really like to listen to. It's by Maurice Philogene, and it's called Try Life On. And in Try Life On, in their second episode, he was talking to this lady who at some point has suffered from cancer. She said she had two choices when they told her that she was having leukemia. Either she was going to have in a spiral of thought of a pity party going down on her and starting to think about what all the terrible things that could happen to her, all the problems that could potentially come out of that sickness. And it's never great news when you hear that. I mean, I've talked to people who've been informed of that, and it's never, you feel like your life is stopping. But then she had a choice at that particular moment. What would that help her to accomplish if she started thinking about all the things that she could have done, all the things that she could have accomplished? She said she looked around her and she saw her mother, who was there almost every single night for 30 days in the hospital, sleeping on a couch, being there next to her. And she started expressing more gratitude. She started expressing more gratefulness for the things that were around her. Can your thought make you sick? Probably yes. Probably not. But one thing is for sure, your negative thoughts will not make you feel any better. If you are sick and you get into a spiral of negative thoughts, starting to condemn yourself, starting to condemn the world, starting to condemn God for things that are happening to you, it's not going to help you to be in a better position. Sometimes the best thing to do is to be grateful. And talking about your thoughts and your mind, your health, what can you do to help improve that? What can you do to change the way things are going in your life? What can you do if you always have these negative thoughts? The first thing I'll suggest is start practicing gratitude. Start practicing gratitude. I love the Bible. It talks about David. David talks about this interesting fact in the book of Psalms. He said, give thanks to the Lord, for his good as his name endures forever. And then it gives a bunch of things. It say, he who makes the sun rise on you and the sun lay down, his name endures forever. It says that he who created the heaven and the earth, he who gives you water, he who gives you light, he who gives you a sight. If you don't have a sight, he gives you breath. If you don't have breath, I mean, you're dead. As long as, and at the end of it says that everything that has breath, praise God. And sometimes we wonder, why should I praise God simply because I have the breath of life and I'm going through all these struggles? The reason is simple. When you start thanking God, it forces your mind to seek for things that are positive, to seek for things that you are grateful for, to seek for things that you have that others may not have, to seek for things that you are grateful for. Now that I've lost my father, who went to be with the Lord a few months ago, maybe a year or so ago, every time I see someone with their father, I'm always tempted to tell them, give thanks to God for your father. I'm always tempted to tell them, give thanks to God for your mother. And it's pushed me to develop even more gratitude for having my mother here. And every time I'm going through something, every time I'm faced with something, every time I'm challenged, I just look around me. I look at my brothers, I look at my sisters, I look at the house, I look at Adam Blaze, I look at my wife Lamedi. I just look at the peace sometimes we have in our house. Not sometimes, we have a lot of peace in our house. And it pushes me to be grateful. And gratefulness will stop me automatically for thinking negatively about certain things. You know, gratitude is like a magnifying glass. The sun is great, the sun pours out a whole lot of light. But when you have a magnifying glass and you focus all that light on one particular thing, you can actually create fire. I remember when we were kids, we take a magnifying glass and take all the sunlight and focus it on a paper until the paper lights up with fire. And that's what gratitude forces you to do. It forces you to forget about all the issues, to forget about everything around you, and to focus on what you're grateful for. Again, if you're asking me, why should I practice gratitude? My question remains, since you started thinking negatively, or since you started having thoughts of depression or discouragement, since you started having all these thoughts, what have you gained? What have you gained out of them? Give me one benefit, and I'll tell you by all means, continue doing that. But if there's no benefit to it, then stop it. Then start to think about the things that help you to become a better person. Now, another thing here says that what effect can your thoughts have on your diet? And I'll give this personal example. At the beginning of this year, not the beginning of this year, at the beginning of this year, I started thinking about I was gaining weight and it was getting to an unhealthy balance. With my injury, there is only so much activity, physical activity that I could do after I tore my Achilles until at least I recovered. And I decided to start taking care of my health and my body. I decided to start watching what I was eating and all of that. All of it started in my thoughts. Now, I tried this diet and I didn't think I was going to be able to make it. It was a no sugar diet. So I literally cut off all the processed sugar in my life. Juices, sodas, cookies, anything that has sugar, and I know this has sugar in it, I'll simply abstain from it. And I had one choice. I say, okay, I have one cheat day, and that was Sunday. On Sundays, I gave myself the right to have a cup of juice or whatever. Within, I want to say 2 months, I lost about 15 pounds. Now, the question you may ask yourself, well, what does that have to do with your thoughts and your diet? Here's the reality. Everything started in my mind. Everything started when I decided that I no longer want to look unhealthy, or I no longer want to be unhealthy. And I want to start cultivating thoughts that help me live a healthy life. And by cultivating the thoughts that help me live a healthy life, I will go back to something that Adam said yesterday. Well, not yesterday, but on our last episode, we're talking about this book. Your thoughts lead to your actions. And because I started thinking about thoughts of health, I will open up the fridge and see a bottle of juice. Because my thoughts were already armed with thought of good health, I was not even interested in drinking it. And of course, we talked about this in how to change your habits as well. I can't remember the title of the book, the last book that we talked about, where we're talking Atomic Habits. We James Allen, not James Allen. I can't remember his name. That's crazy. Yeah, but when we talked about Atomic Habits, his name is James something. I can't remember his last name. when we started talking about atomic habit. Sometimes you have to remove temptation in front of you, but of course, my thought gave me the strength to resist the urge of drinking a juice or whatever every time I open my fridge. But also being a little smarter after reading Atomic Habits, I stopped shopping for juice at the store. I stopped shopping for sodas. I stopped shopping for things that had all these unnaturally processed juice. And I realized one thing after doing that and after going through that exercise for about 60, 70 days. I realized one thing. I was actually not very interested in drinking juice every day. I was more interested in drinking something cold. And I started drinking water that was, not cold per se, but that was a lot colder than just regular room temperature water. So every time I had the urge to drink a juice, I'll literally go to the fridge and just get some cold water. And also because the sugar rush and everything that I wanted, I was still wanting to get some sugar in my mouth. And what I'll simply do, I started buying fruits. I started buying strawberries. I started buying and grapes, and I'll go literally, and when I feel like I want to drink a juice, I'll go eat a bunch of grapes, which are healthy for me. Takes away the taste of sugar or whatever, the envy of having sugar that I had, but at the same time keeping my body healthy. Your diet starts in your mind, not in your plate. Your plate is pretty much it's just a consequence of what you've been thinking about, what you see in your plate. I mean, if you want to have Chipotle, you get out and go get Chipotle. If you want to have, if you live in Eastern Africa, you want to have a Rolex, you step out of your house, you go on the street, you get a Rolex. Nobody has to tell you anything about it. It starts with your mind. As long as you don't purify your thought to a point of starting to think as a healthy person, you will not be able to get on a serious discipline diet. You will not be able to go to the gym every day. Your thoughts have to be transformed first. And I talked about this before in different episodes. You are before you do. And James Clear, I remember his name now. James Clear with Atomic Habit actually talks about the analogy of change. It talks about that true change starts with your identity. And your identity is nothing but the repeated thoughts that have been embedded in your mind and that you've come to believe. If you've repeated these thoughts long enough, at some point you start believing this thought, and these thoughts start creating the person that you are, your character, your habits, and everything that you do. James Allen finish up this episode, this chapter of thoughts and health by saying that the thoughts of malice, envy, disappointment, this type of thoughts actually make you look older. I have a brother. At some point, he started growing gray hair, and he told me, "Man, I've been through so much stress, and I know he was going through a lot. That the color of his hair started changing, even his face." Another example that you can think of when you think about the effects of thought on your body. Think about Barack Obama. I mean, sometimes I watch the videos of Barack Obama when he took power in his campaign 2008. He was a young, good-looking man. 4 years later, when he was running for power again in 2012, almost all his hair was gray. And the man had grown older. He was not even 60 years old by then. If I'm not mistaken, I can't even remember his age, but I don't even think he's 60 years old. But I could see a difference in the man's face, his body. You could tell that the power, the presidency was having a toll on his body. And he's not out there lifting boxes. He's not out there mowing lawns or anything of that nature. Simply because he spends more time in this administrative work, which requires you sometimes to think a lot, or most of the times requires you to use your brain intensively. He has 1,000 advisors, but all the decisions that are made always fall on him. As for every president, I don't even know how Joe Biden is doing it at the age of 80. But you can tell how negative, or maybe how the pressure of life was starting to have an impact on Obama's life. And as soon as he stepped out of power, to me, it started looking younger again, because all that pressure was completely gone. So my question remains: what benefits have negative thoughts have in your life? What benefits a thought of worries, complaints, thought of malice, of envy? What benefits a thought of disappointment have in your life? And if there's no benefit for them, if there's no benefit to them, why are you keeping them? If they tell you that this book is doing harm to your body, I bet you'll be the first person to take this book and remove it out of your house, throw it away. If they tell you that if you keep this book long enough, if you hold this book long enough in your hand, you end up having cancer or you end up dying. If this book stayed in your hands for 2 weeks, you will die. I bet you'll be the first person to take this book and throw it away in the trash if you have the power to do so. But why are you keeping the thoughts that are not helping you to become a better person? Why are you keeping with you the things that are killing you every single day? Replace your negative thoughts with something healthy, with something positive. And the last chapter we're going to talk about today is thought and purpose. James Allen says that until thought is linked with purpose, there is no intelligent accomplishment. The question that I want to ask today as we talk about this chapter particularly, what is the importance of having a strong purpose in your life? What is the importance of having a strong purpose in your life? There are a few things I've discovered about purpose in my own life as I go through life. There's nothing to me that is as pitiful as waking up in the morning, not knowing what you woke up for, not knowing what you want to do with your life. There's nothing to me more pitiful than not having a strong vision for what you want to accomplish or a strong vision for where you want to go in your life. All these things play a vital role in your life. It's important to have a purpose. Purpose gives you a reason to do what you do every day. When you have a strong purpose in your life, life has a meaning. And temporary disappointment don't seem to affect you so negatively because you know that they do work together for your good. One of my favorite scriptures in the Bible, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, one of the books that I read a lot is the Bible, especially the book of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, which I always encourage people. You don't have to be a Christian. You don't have to believe. You don't have to be a believer. But I tell you, Proverbs and Ecclesiastes are full of life lessons. When the Bible says that Solomon was the wisest man that has ever existed, I cannot argue with that. And I don't care if you believe in the Bible, you don't believe in the Bible. Take the Bible as a history book if you want to, and read it. Read the book of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes. You'll be surprised. Like one of the examples, like one of the things that someone talks about, he says that go to the ant and observe her. She says she has no master, she has no leader or whatever, but she amasses of food. She keeps her food in the summer to prepare for the winter. That's a life lesson right there. In the summers of life, what are you keeping for the winters of your life when you are not able to work, when you are not able to do anything? In the time of your youth, what are you doing today that will impact your life 20, 40 years from today? When you get your paycheck, what do you do with that money that will help you survive the next month or the next 2 months? What do you do in the beautiful days of your life for the rainy days? It's just a beautiful lesson from the book of Proverbs. But anyways, the reason why I was talking about the Bible is because I've always liked this scripture, the story of Paul. When Paul is talking to the Romans, it tells them that we know that all things work together for the good of those who love God and those who have been called according to his purpose. And I've always, and again, you don't have to be a believer to actually see this. I've always believed in one thing, that all things do work together for my good. And having a strong purpose, knowing what God has called me to do, knowing where I'm going, knowing the things that I want to accomplish, regardless of what happens to me, I know that somewhere, somehow, is working out together for my good. I started reading this book by Kevin Hart. It's called This Is How We Do It, a pep talk. It's actually a small book, a very interesting book that I encourage you to get as well. I was just reading the first chapter And the first thing Kevin Hart says is that everything starts with your mind. Until your mindset has changed, nothing else will change. Until the way you think changes, nothing else will change in your life. So if the way you think is not healthy, if the way you think is not helping you grow, if the way you think is not helping you accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, nothing else will change in your life. But purpose helps you have something to wake up for every day. The other thing, and I mentioned this, is that purpose brings you hope in chaos. Life can be chaotic. There are seasons in life. You got your summers, your falls, your spring, and your winters. And what's his name? The author of the 12 Peters. I seem to be forgetting the name of a lot of people today. I can see his face in my head, but I just cannot remember his name. But one of the author of the 12 Peters, he also wrote the 4 seasons of life. And he said that your life has different seasons. And you have to understand what type of season you live in to see what you should do, how you should behave based on that season. And when sometimes you're going through some chaotic situations, fixing your thoughts on your purpose helps you bring hope in the midst of chaos, helps you see things differently than you would if you didn't have a strong purpose. James Allen says that a man should conceive a legitimate purpose in his heart and set out to accomplish it. He should make this purpose the centralizing point of his thought. Strength can only be developed by effort and practice. Strength does not fall on us like a cold shower. It's something that's worked in and day out. Challenges make us strong every day. And this is again when it comes to purpose. James Allen suggests that every man should discover his purpose and focus his thought entirely on that purpose. When you know what you're trying to do, it starts dictating the things that you do every day. Let's say you want to compete, the things that you do every day. Let's say that you want to compete for the Olympics. That's your purpose. You want to win a gold medal for the next 5 years. That will change the way you eat. And I'm very sorry about people that compete for the Olympics. It's tough. It's not given to everybody. All those gold medalists, you got to give them some props. You got to give them some credit. Because it's not given to everybody. You change the way you eat. You change your routine. You have to train a little more than everybody else. You have to cut on certain things that everybody else do. You stop being an everyday person. You stop being an everybody mindset. And it's the same way when you have a strong purpose, a strong vision, something that you're trying to achieve. It changes the way you approach life every single day. If you're trying to become president tomorrow, I don't think you're spending your whole time just watching TV and spending your time aimlessly on television. I don't think that you scroll on social media for the whole day, not looking for anything or watching TikTok videos that are helping you to become a better person. You start preparing, Barry. You probably will try to go to law school. You probably will try to read the lives of the president. You probably will try to get involved into how to run a successful campaign. You probably will try to volunteer with other people and do things that bring you closer and closer to the things that you're trying to accomplish. When you have a strong purpose, it brings you clarity. A strong purpose for the future brings you clarity in the present. I'll tell you that for sure. When you know that this is what I want to accomplish, some of the distractions start falling away by themselves. And when your thoughts are entirely focused on that, when your thoughts are entirely focused on what you're trying to accomplish, on your purpose, yes, you can have a purpose for your whole life, but you can also have a purpose for a season. And when your thoughts start revolving around that purpose, some of the distractions fall away. I've always said this, and Zig Ziglar used to say it. I quote a lot Zig Ziglar because I did listen to him a lot and I read a few of his books. But he used to say that, have you noticed that people who have nothing to do want to do it with you? People who have nothing to do, people who have no programs, no plans or whatever, they want to do it with you because you are always available. You are always there for them. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to be there for your friends. It's a good thing to be there for your family. But are they stopping you from accomplishing the things that you want to accomplish? Are they stopping you from going where you want to go? If you want to study and your friends want to party, it's already a mismatch. That will not work. But until you set up your mind to say that I have to finish this work by today, someone will just call you up out of the blue and you're going to follow them. And that's why it's important. And that's the way life works. When you don't have a strong purpose, you fall into someone else's purpose. And I've said this before, you don't need to have a vision that is contrary, opposite to everybody's vision. You don't need to have a vision that does not help you, that says, okay, you cannot work with someone else because you have your so-called vision. No, you can still work with other people while trying to accomplish your own goals. You can still live under another man's vision while trying to accomplish your own vision. But at the same time, when your purpose and your vision are not clear in your mind, you do everything for the sake of survival. You do everything. They'll tell you, well, move from Texas to Orlando. There's no problem you're going to do that because you probably don't have a good reason for staying in Texas. But if you have a good reason for moving to Orlando, it may be like, okay, this is an opportunity that serves the vision that I have, that serves the purpose that I have. A strong purpose will even help you choose your major in college. A strong purpose will even help you decide whether you're going to college or not. A strong purpose will even help you to choose your partner in life. A strong purpose will help you to eliminate things that are not helping you to get closer to where you want to get, because they're not healthy or they're not beneficial to you. And the quote that I just read a minute ago, strength doesn't just happen. Challenges help us become stronger. If you've ever done any type of weightlifting, you know that you don't bulk up in a day. You don't bulk up in a month. Maybe some people do. But in a day, it's definitely impossible. I mean, when you go to the gym for the first time, you lift weight, you leave the gym and you feel like, there's a lot of blood rush in your muscles. So you feel that you've gotten bigger. But then after you take a shower, you go back to the normal you. But the reality that if you do that consistently, if you go to the gym consistently, it may take you a day, it may take you a month, it may take you a year to get there. But you will eventually get there. I had a friend growing up, his name was Omari Bubul. Bubul was a tall, skinny man. I think he's about 6'5" or 6'6", but he was skinny. We used to play basketball together, and one thing about Bubul was that you could literally push him and feel like this man has no way. At some point, I can't remember the year, but I want to say 2008, 2009. Bubul, we started all lifting weight. When we're playing basketball, we discovered that, man, we needed to have a little stronger muscles. So we started lifting weight. Bubul came to join us. We were laughing our faces off when we saw Bubul coming to join us to lift weight. He couldn't lift even the smallest weight that we had. But I remember this. Bubu started with the smallest, tiniest weight. I think it was something about 10 pounds. He started lifting that. And he was making so much effort to do it. But I tell you this. Within 2 years, Bubu started lifting the type of weight I couldn't lift. Bubu went from 5 pounds to 10 pounds, from 10 pounds to 20, from 20 to 30, 40, 50. Until he got to a point where I was like, hey, Bubu, I don't know what's going with you. He bulked up and became bigger. Because he was consistent in the way he was doing things. And that's the way you become consistent with your thoughts. That's the way you also train up your thought. That's the way every time that you face up a challenge, you know that this is not the end of you. It's just something that's making you better. It's something that's making you stronger. It's something that is making you become the person that you are created to be. Don't look at challenges like the end of your life. Everybody goes through some challenges. Everybody goes through some difficulties. They are there to make us better. But you can only see that when your purpose is stronger and well aligned with your thoughts. James Allen says that as physically weak man can make himself strong by carefully and patient training, so the man of weak thoughts can make them strong by exercising himself in right thinking. Developing a positive attitude is not something that happens overnight. No, you can trust me on that. I was on the other hand of the spectrum. I was the guy who always thought negatively. I was the guy who always thought that my life didn't have any meaning, that I'll probably end up doing something that I was not supposed to do, that I'll always be depressed, that I'll always be sad, that people will always abandon me. I was that guy. It's not until I started thinking to myself that no, this is not the way it is. And to me, and at least for my Christian faith, when I started believing and I started reading the Bible, meditating on it day and night, really reading the Bible, that the pattern of my thoughts started changing. For you, maybe if you're not a Christian, find something that helps you think positively every day. Find something that make your thoughts better every single day. Will it be easy? No, absolutely not. I can guarantee you for that. Because men are creatures of habit. And your brain is also a function of habit. Your brain is specializes in habit. Your brain wants to go back to the good old things that it used to do. Your brain loves the good old days. Because that's the way we were created. So it's something you literally have to break. It's a pattern that you have to break. And in the book, the other book I've been reading for a while, The Answer by Joseph Asaraf and Murray Smith. What I was reading, actually, they were talking about the importance of neural reconditioning. They're talking about the neural reconditioning process and saying that your brain has created all these neural paths in your mind. And they have been established there for years. So when you start changing the way you think, when you start changing the way you approach life, you are reconditioning your mind, and that's why it's not easy. But you got to start somewhere. I'm not saying that's easy, but I'm saying it's possible. If someone like me can today look at life and be grateful, look at life and thank God for the things that I have, look at life and think that a great thing can come out of me, so can you. Maybe you don't know my story. You're saying, well, Mark, you have it all figured out. And that's okay. But there are people out there who started as nobodies and became everything that they were created to do. When we're reading about the 15 Laws of Growth by John Maxwell, we talk about the story of this lady called Junita, who grew up in a country, in a city where none of her family members even graduated from high school. Herself got pregnant at the age of 16. But one day she woke up and she said, enough is enough. Today, Junita is a PhD. Someone who at 32 had not even graduated from high school. But she got her GED. She moved to another city, went to college. She got her bachelor's, she got a master's, she got a PhD. And she became one of the people out there speaking, encouraging people, changing the lives of people. If someone like Junita can do it, so can you. You have no excuse. And my question remains, what have your negative thoughts brought you? What have the thought of disappointment, of jealousy, of fear? What has fear and doubt brought you? Since you started fearing things and having doubt about things, what have they brought you? Don't keep them if they're not helping you. James Sully says that once you've discovered your purpose, you should focus on it. There's one thing I've discovered with everybody that has ever accomplished anything great in this life. They knew what they wanted. And that's just the truth. Whether you come from a Christian world, a secular world, secular by the term, by the means of Christianity, whether you're looking at people that achieve things in sports, people that achieve things in politics, people that achieve things in non-profit, someone like Mother Teresa, there is one thing they all had in common. They knew what they wanted. Do you know what you want? Do you know exactly what triggers you every morning? And if you don't know, and I've always said, if you don't know, don't feel like you're a failure simply because you don't know. No. If you don't know, it's okay. But don't remain that way. Try to set up yourself to find out exactly what you want to do. Try to find time to think about what you want to accomplish. And sometimes, the reason why we're not able to think clearly is because of all the things that we're being bombarded with every day. Your phone. All the notifications that you have day in and day out, notifications after notifications. Sometimes those things stop you from thinking clearly. In the book that we read, Adam and I read a few months ago, I think we talked about it as well on the podcast. It's called Focus. The author of the book actually suggests sometimes to take some days off electronics. Completely off. No phones, no computer, no television, nothing. Stay there with yourself. And start thinking about your life. And eventually you make that exercise every day. Eventually you don't have those stimuli in your mind all the time. Eventually your phone stop creating those stimuli. Stop pushing those adrenaline in your body. Every time that you hear a notification, you can no longer focus. You have to find out exactly what's going on your phone. At some point, when you start detaching yourself from electronics, or for everything that's around you, from social media, sometimes delete your social media account. Close it for a year. What are you going to lose? Unless you run business on it. If you're not running business on social media, what are you getting out of it? Entertainment? Maybe. But is that helping you getting closer to where you want to go? Sometimes you have to stop all those external stimuli and focus on yourself. Focus on the thoughts, the type of thoughts that are dominating your mind. And you start making exercises to replace those thoughts and become a better person. James Allen concludes by this. He said that having conceived a purpose, a man should mentally mark out a straight path to its achievement, looking neither to the right nor to the left. Doubt and fears should be rigorously excluded. Rigorously. You gotta make some effort. You gotta put some work into it to exclude them from your mind. Thoughts of doubt and fear never accomplish anything and never can. I want to repeat that. Thoughts of doubt and fear have never accomplished anything and they never will. They never can and they never will accomplish anything. The only thing that they give you is doubt, depression, fear, is anxiety, is all the things that are negative. Look at your life. What are you thankful for? What are you grateful for? Focus on that. Because doubt and fear have proven not to bring you any benefits. Have proven not to get you closer to your goal. Have actually taken you far away from what you want to accomplish. I'd rather attempt something great and fail than attempt nothing at all and succeed. I'd rather attempt something great. I'd rather try my very best to become the best and fail at getting it than just sit down at home and be successful at being idle and not doing anything or not accomplishing anything. As James Allen says, thoughts of doubt and fear have never brought anything good and they never will. In conclusion here, James Allen says something that we should all take home today. Thought drawn fearlessly to purpose becomes a creative force. When your thoughts are drawn to a strong purpose, that's what brings creativity. When your thoughts are focused on something grandiose, that's what brings your creativity. People who do great things do so because deep inside of them, they know what they want. And they do everything in their power to accomplish it. Are you doing everything in your power to accomplish what you've set up in mind to accomplish? Today, I want to challenge you. Write down all your thoughts, your fears and doubts. Write them out. Then ask yourself the question, what have this helped me accomplish in my life? And if they haven't helped you accomplish anything at all, take that paper, tear it away, and throw it away, symbolizing that you are throwing those negative pattern of thoughts away from your mind. And then write down the things that you want to think about. I love this what Paul says to the Philippians. He says that whatever things are true, whatever things are honest, whatever things are pure, whatever things are of a good report, if there's any virtue, if there's any good thing, he advises them to think about these things. Find out what are the things that are pure, the things that are honest, the things that make you better. Don't say that I don't want to be negative. No, say I'm a positive person. Remove all the type of negativity in your life. Remove all the things that are getting you away from your goal and vision. Remove every impediment in your life that is stopping you from accomplishing the things that you want to accomplish. It is better to try something great and fail than try nothing at all and succeed. Try something great. Have faith in you because we have faith in you. Adam and I have faith in you. That's why we're talking to you every week. That's why we try to invest in you every other week. We believe that you can. And if you are listening to us, if you are here, it's already proof that you're trying to get out of this thought pattern, to get out the negative pattern of your thoughts. And if you believe in yourself, join your faith to ours. And all the hosts of the world that are just waiting for you to take the first step to succeed. But you gotta overcome your negative pattern of thoughts. You gotta overcome the thoughts of fear and doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, it's with that I will be finishing up today. Our next episode we hear in the next 2 weeks again. Adam will be filming that episode solo, and I can give you some heads up about what he's going to talk about. And I say that this book is actually free. You can get it online on YouTube. There is a free version of the book. And then we talk about the factor of thought in achievement, and probably also touch on vision and ideal. And when we come back together, we finish up with serenity. How can you, we talk about more about serenity, how to understand it, the things that serenity can help you achieve in life. But for me, I'll probably be seeing you in the next 4 weeks, because in the next 2 weeks, Adam will probably be recording solo, and I'll see you in the next 4 weeks. We talk about it. Our next book after As a Man Thinketh by James Allen would be the winning the war in your mind. We give you strategies and tools that Dr. Craig Rochelle talk about how can you win the battle in your mind, because it's a battle. Trust me, as much as I like to tell you, go do it, go get it, it takes work. It takes work, and sometimes you just feel defeated. Sometimes you just feel like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And we give you strategy. I think Craig Rochelle actually gives some great strategy about the things that you can do. James Allen talks about them just a little bit, but Craig Rochelle goes in more depth. As you know, in this season, we are focusing on your mind and the things that you can accomplish. With that being said, thanks again for your donations, your support. Thanks for listening, for downloading our episodes and sharing them with your friend on your favorite podcasting platform. If you have any questions, any concern, if you want us to talk about something, don't forget to email us at info@theunboundedgrowth.com, and the email will be in the description of the episode as well. Our email is info@theunboundedgrowth.com. We're still working on our website. Of course, we're trying to also have a mailing list out there where we can start sending you something every week to uplift you, to make you better, and to enrich your mind. We're here to enrich your mind, to ignite your mind. We want to enrich your life, ignite your mind, and we want to do that through knowledge and action. Don't just sit idle. Do something. Accomplish something. We are here to grow a better you, and we know that you can be better because you are better, and you've been created to do great things, but you have to believe in them and shake away every thought of doubt and fear. Again, if you have any support, any contribution, you can give to us at www.theunboundedgrowth.com. There is a way you can donate via Spotify. You can subscribe monthly to donate something. And all the money that we get, as you know, goes towards supporting the educational kids in Congo that we've been trying to send back to school and make their lives better and make the world a better place. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be seeing you in the next 2 weeks. God bless you and have a wonderful one. Bye-bye.